Issues have to do with the digital training of the 10,000 young people being trained in different training centers.
On behalf of the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, we'd like to extend our thanks and appreciation to you, media police, who are taking out the time during the release season to come and inform the Nigerian people of what this government is doing. This morning, the chief administrator of this ministry and the official spokesperson of the government, Honorable Jolinic Matthew Pia, is our presiding officer. Minister Pia, who explored with the authority to officially introduce our guests, will come on the national platform to make his introductory comments, after which we will officially introduce our guests. But before Minister Pia comes on, Mr. Paul Bolio is a trained broadcast journalist, the publisher of the Eyes of the Globe newspaper. Mr. Bolio, who are working for the New Liberal newspaper, his entity has come this morning to give a flower for his observation during the 100-day deliverables. We don't know what he has seen that the ministry has done, but he has his media links that have captured that. He has come quickly to provide a certificate of honor to the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, to tell the wise that it can be a secret. When the minister works, and the work is seen, is visible, is touchable, let it be known. So as what I do, I'd like to call Mr. Paul Bolio, who will give a little bit of background and present a certificate of honor to Honorable Jolinic Matthew Pia. Mr. Bolio.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fowler. It's a pleasure to be here today. There is an adage that states that one should give a man his powers when he is alive. And it is in this view that we have thought it very wise to have come to give the Honorable Minister his flowers while he is alive. For the first 100 days, we have observed that the Honorable Minister, Jolinic Matthew Pia, has been working tremendously to upgrade the standard of this ministry. Specifically, we will be speaking about the issue of the arrest agenda, which he has articulated, projected, and the views of the government's policies of the arrest agenda. We believe that because of all these values that we have observed, we cannot let it go without saying anything, because we have been in a debate, and we believe that people who have done their best or who are trying to do their best in terms of projecting positivity to the good for national development, we must honor them. As we said earlier, the honor is to be restored to whom it should be restored. So we all said and done all of these. We like to follow the Honorable Minister at the podium, not to present this certificate, but we will read a few words that we have there, and then we'll be done with this presentation. As a minister, I would like to ask you to please stand
Firstly, first of all, Mr. Paul Balde,
like we beautifully said,
managing editor,
it reads,
publisher of
the eyes of the globe, the eyes that sees indiscriminately, certificate of honor awarded to Geraldine Mafipia. The Board of Trustees Vetting Committee, having observed your diligence and commitment to national duty as relates to the projection, articulations, and the dissemination of information of the arrest agenda of the government of the Republic of Liberia, accurately within the first 100 days, we have deemed it very expedient to grade you 100%. In view that the above, I beg the pardon, institution has deemed it expedient to award you this certificate of achievement and honor. In testimony thereof, such we affix our signatures done yesterday to the 8th of this month, AD, after the death of Christ, 2024, at this time. Signed, Paul Bordeaux, publisher, managing editor, the Eyes of the Globe newspaper, approved, Felicia T.S. Sakar, upper nursing chairperson of the vetting committee. Honorable Minister, we are very proud of you and we thank you for your refreshment and your compliments. Congratulations.
also he's Paul Balde, the managing editor and publisher of the Eyes of the Globe, that presented the certificate of honor to Information Minister John Matthew Pia. And go right to Mr. Fan, the Director of First and Public Affairs, as he continues this
Distinguished
presentation.
ladies and gentlemen of the press, I have the singular honor to now invite the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, who will speak to the Liberian people about the programs and policy of this document. Mr. Pia.
So next is Information Minister John Matthew, who's about to make his introductory comments and usher in the guests for today.
Good afternoon to all of you and welcome here again at the Charles William press call. It's good to be back here because the last time we met, we were outside. Because this place was flooded. Even though my director said we went outside to take photos. It was not true. But it's good that we're back in. I'd like to thank Mr. Paul Bordeaux and the Eyes of the Globe for their public recognition, which was unsolicited. It's a good thing for people to pay attention. Mr. Bordeaux is a long-time journalist. He understands the media landscape. He knows what is what. And if he says, from the way their eyes can see, and consistent with their own lens, that they believe that everything they say are their observations about what we do, who are we to question them? So we wholeheartedly accept the honor. We are grateful. If anything, it will serve as a motivation for us to read double. I don't believe that, while it's true that accepting the honor, I don't believe that we score 100%. Because if we are at that kind of level of perfection, then we don't need to make any additional effort. I think I will keep striving along with my team to do better. And I think we're still far away from being at the 100% mark. But thank you for recognizing what we do here. Globally, the World Health Organization has announced the outbreak of monkeypox. It is considered a health emergency globally, and the National Public Health Institute that is supposed to be here, but due to some other engagements, they will come on Thursday to give details. But it's good to announce that they have acknowledged that the current wave of outbreak of monkeypox has also affected Liberia. They have got to confirm 5 cases, in Liberia, in 3 counties. For the purpose of the authority they have in the sector, they have advised that the rest of the details concerning the outbreak be left until Thursday, when Dr. Chris Dube Nyan, who is the head of the National Public Health Institute, will appear here and give a detailed picture of what has happened so far in Liberia. But it's important for our people to know that the outbreak has also affected Liberia, and that monkeypox is here. Let's take all of the precautionary measures that are required so as to control the spread. The version of the monkeypox that is out looks deadly. So sometimes people say prevention is better than cure. The government is working around the clock through the National Public Health Institute and authorities of the Ministry of Health to put in all of the measures that are required to ensure that the disease does not spread in a way that it becomes a serious problem for our country and our people. That's what the government should do. We have gone through a lot. We had Ebola. We were resilient as a country and people. We defeated that. COVID came. The country did relatively well in combating that virus. And I believe we are in the right place based on all of the structures and mechanisms we built over the past when the other diseases broke out. We are much more prepared to deal with these emerging health situations than we were in the past. So basically, we urge people to be cautious, but there is no need for panic, and the government is fully doing what is required to ensure that the spread of the monkeypox disease is controlled. You know, Liberia is an interesting place. There are some of us who just take pleasure in bad news. If that bad news means that lives should be lost, they don't care. Once it is pleasing to them. We fought decades of war here. And there are some actors who stood with us. Even as airlines were coming and discontinuing, we all know Delta used to be here. Air France used to be here. As those airlines left our country, some have remained here. Brussels, Royal Air Morocco, they stood firm in helping us to make international travels easily. But yet there are some people in our midst who will be happy if the airplane was to crash and people die. So you wonder, and it's not reflective of the entire country because Liberians are good people. But then you're constrained to wonder, who are these people? who would prefer to see the blood just to satisfy a political ego. So a Royal Air Morale flight came to Liberia, landed safely, but maybe many of you have not traveled, so you don't know what that is. But those of us who traveled a lot, one of the critical points in your entire journey is when the plane is about to land. All of the calculations that are required got to be done perfectly. So by the time that flight is landing and hitting the runway, the calculation is such that it does so very gently. If for any reason, maybe out of this calculation or something, at the point of landing the impact is different and it's forceful, there are multiple possibilities that the flight or the plane can veer off the runway. I think a month ago, there was a plane crash in one of the Western nations. Crashed in a way that the plane successfully landed by a veer off the runway, burst into something else, and into flames. People died. That's how serious the situation concerning aircrafts are. And if we had a situation where the flight landed, the Royal Air Morale flight landed, as was explained by the airport authority, and the forceful impact of the landing led the plane off the runway, but that the pilot did a good job in returning the plane to the runway without incident, and also people could do rather than thanking God for their fellow citizens who were on board the plane, was to give an indication that the plane crashed. And the plane crash was a result of no light at the airport. What pleases you with those kind of stupid lies? So if there's no light at the airport in the first place, the plane will not land. You've watched many occurrences in the past where Brussels Airlines came at the airport, attempted a descent. No electricity, the plane will redirect itself somewhere else. In most cases, as we found out, it went to Freetown. To just think that an airport will be all of electricity and the plane still lands raises another question about the thought process of those who were making those comments that the plane crashed while landing because there was no electricity at the airport. No plane lands without electricity. I said it's crashing and the pilot got no control. I said, well, you have to come down. When it's following the normal routine to land, once there's no electricity, it's not going to land. So why these funny, negative things and lies about your own country? The word crash means terrible accident. 99.9% of the time when a plane crashes, it's death. There's a difference between a plane crashing and a plane crash landing. In our situation, none was the case according to what the airport authorities have said. Except that the landing was a little bit forceful and the plane veered off the main runway into the grass. Thanks to maybe the capacity of the pilot, brought the plane back on the runway, went to the jet bridge, passengers got offloaded. As a matter of safety requirement, when they noticed that there were debris all over the plane, of course they had to ground the plane to launch an investigation which is ongoing. By the way, when a plane picks up at the airport, I have been in that situation before. And while picking up a bird, for example, goes into the wing, most times the pilot just turns around, right? It comes back on the ground because you never know the impact of that bird that has gone in the wind, into the engine, what it will cost. Now I'm going to talk about debris all over the plane after a year of it. So the best thing to do professionally was to say, no, this flight cannot leave until we investigate what happened, until we reach a point where it is determined that this plane is safe to fly, because there were passengers who should have gotten on board. So we just wanted to clarify to the population that there was no plane crash, and that it is not true that when the plane approached the airport, there was no electricity. For if there was no electricity, the plane would have diverted to somewhere else and not land. And I hope that settles the wishful thinking of the naysayers, who would prefer to see some of our citizens perish because it will satisfy them politically. I've always emphasized on behalf of the government the need to be more engaging when there are issues than taking the continuous path of violence. The Constitution of the Republic gives power to the President to appoint certain categories of public officials. When any group of people determine that the action of the President is unlawful, then the thing to do is not to be unlawful as well. Because then you undermine your own moral standing. If you sincerely believe that something is unlawful, but your action is more unlawful, what moral ground do you have to even talk about something being lawful? So there are people in the municipal borough of Nickeltown who believe that the appointment of the governor is unlawful, suggesting they are champions of being lawful. What have they done? Did they seek lawful means to resolve their quote-unquote unlawful action? No. They've been lawless, they've been violent, and that's unacceptable. The president of your own reporter, Mr. Oleti, was there, doing what all of you know how to do best. Journalists, you go after the news. The young man was wounded in the head, and I'm sure all of you are aware. Compromising even the safety of journalists. But yet you say the question is something that you consider not to be lawful. You are lawless. You could kill the young man because the head is very sensitive. But yet you say you're resisting something that you consider unlawful. The government frowns on the increasing wave of lawlessness and hence calls on all of our citizens to rethink this state of lawlessness that is permeating the society, because we will reach the point of acting very decisively in these cases of lawlessness. You can't be so contradictory to yourself. You refer to a presidential action as being illegal, as being unlawful. And the redress you seek is violence, is vandalism, is trying to sow chaos and discourse, attacking and wounding journalists, and you call yourselves lawful people? Stop. We all cry around here and talk about jobs. We say we want to expand tourism. How do you do these things when all people see about the country is a group of people who are lawless? For the sake of protecting or fighting for just an office of governor, you compromise the progress of the entire country by your lawless action. This is unacceptable. And we have got to stop. You know, sometimes I sit and I think about my late friend, Fantas Mamani Diakete. Because he was always known for these lines. God have patience. Many of you who knew him who know that he did not speak for even 5 minutes before making reference to that. And it's true. Because sometimes when you sit and just listen, you ask yourself, is it the same person that was here yesterday, under whose watchful eyes chaos, lawlessness, tyranny reign, that is not a voice of redemption? Sometimes you ask yourself that hard question. People are so damn hasty to look for issues to talk about, not in a good way. Then what leader would normally do, you take the time, you reflect, you consider issues very critically before you even make a contribution to them. Some with zero information in their talk. Living in anger. What's making you vex? The people gave you 6 years. You squandered it. Some were not even tactical enough. To the extent that the first thing they did, they went to their own country, not even to different people's country. And stood there and told the people, say, you join us, we'll take a job from you. Many of you are journalists, you know, right in Bangabong country. Senior leaders of the country, go talk to your people. Not talking development, not talking anything. You got to join us, or else we'll take a job from you. Some presided over political institutions here when all the bad things happened. In fact, they were affixing their signature to long listing and state government institutions saying bloody people. We inherited some here. Placed in positions not qualified for, jobs that are categorized by the civil service to be for certain level of people. Maybe you need to have a BSc to take a certain job. In that case, the people has to graduate and drop out there. And still, then you don't have to come to work. It's a matter of your name just being on the payroll every month you get your pay. So the civil service became bloated as a result of these actions. Ministers appointed by the president are not a payroll for the work taking place in ministries and agencies. Those employees with their technical capacity and skills that are aiding those ministers and head of agencies to perform. So it's supposed to be a professional layer of people working to enhance the efficiency of government. All compromised. And today, some of those people, like they did before, they think they can fool the population. They retreated from the political role they played, purporting to be civil society actors, yelling all over the place when they hear anything. You think our people are not smart? They know you well. Today you're questioning the initiative towards war crime and accounting for the years of the war. But yesterday you were all around the place demanding the establishment of war crime code. When you had a chance to come to power, and the institution you were heading had power for 6 years, you said nothing. About the very concept of war crime that you believe in then. Now, as the tenure on the political stage expired, hiding under the canopy of something called civil society. We know you. And the people know you. You can't fool them. They know genuine civil society organizations, the politically motivated institutions, coaching political agendas, and calling themselves civil society organizations. The people are smarter than you think they are. You've got no moral standing to hear the way you are hearing. Perhaps you need some kind of baptism. It cleans you from your sins of the past. I want to, in the midst of all their politics, I want to pay tribute, an open tribute, not in the corner, to someone whose work has been linked to the Ministry of Information. They've impacted what we do here. They've impacted the country at large based on their work, consistent with the sector in which they work. And it's only fair that at this press conference, we say something later. As you all know, the president named Mr. Kekura Kamara, affectionately called Balawala, as the ambassador for arts and culture. But it will interest you to know that this is an honorary title. It's not a job, even though you saw the release when it says Ambassador for Arts and Culture, Ministry of Information. That was just an acknowledgement that the work you do, the sector ministry that will collaborate with you is a Ministry of Information. But it's not a government job. It does not have an office at the Ministry of Information. The person occupying the office does not earn a monthly salary. So it's not a job. It's a title. Julie Andy have held that title for a number of years. I'm told at one point 28 years, roughly, or so. Appointed by former interim president Dr. Evans Claudia Sawyer in 1994, when she was just a returnee who was actively involved in the promotion of Liberian culture. She has been leading the charge through social mobilization, folk songs, traditional performances, even when the bullets were moving about. She since became a towering figure, a cultural promoter, a brand ambassador of Liberian culture both at home and abroad, a former UNICEF Goodwill ambassador for children, very instrumental in social mobilization, in the social mobilization drive to keep polio out of Liberia between 1997 to 2006. During the disarmament process, she was engaged in helping to disarm child soldiers. She is the founder of the Liberian Crusaders for Peace. She became one of the many Liberian trailblazers engaged in planning and realizing information campaign in the field of education, health, and culture. On behalf of the government and the Ministry of Information, we humbly pay homage to the Andy and thank her for her service. In the meantime, we encourage the new ambassador to step in and fit himself in the shoes that are now vacant well. As we've worked in the past with Ambassador Andy, the ministry stands ready to work with the incoming ambassador, because what comes out of this interaction should be the interest of our country. All of us who are in public sector or public service, whether you hold a permanent employment job, you hold some honorary title, there comes a time when you serve and a time to leave. And it's just not fair enough when every time an action is taken, all we do about them is politics and read meaning into everything. We believe Julie played her part. She runs a private group, the Crusader for Peace, which is involved in the very things that she focuses on as cultural ambassador. So nothing has changed. And based on what I know, I'm not sure she's offended by anything. And that is the reason why we commend her, we congratulate her for the role played. But even the Crusader for Peace remains a backbone to the government and to the ministry. And those who believe that some kind of vindictiveness is taking place, I think many of you have not worked well to know President Walker. You found everything. Some of the same people are protesting all around here. Say, oh, that one different person should be there for 30 years. When you say different person, you can't say which one. What do we want? Do we at all know what we want? Or we just hungry for talking points? And what is more of interest is the very people who oppress us of yesterday will always be the first to yell, believing they now represent the voices of the people. Take your time. All the 10 you created here, without 6 years of cleaning. We're not even going 5 months. You yelling. Yelling does not solve anything. In fact, because you are the wrong messengers, the things you say, just for your own ear, because the people know you better. Having said these, I now invite the chairman of the board of the Liberian Telecommunication Authority, Amara, who will not address you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Minister, Thanks for the invitation. Actually, I was enjoying your show. Good man, and also, you're helping me use the pressure. You know, actually, I'm a fresh guy person. But every time I come here, I'm learning. So, good morning. I'm here today to give you feedback on two issues, all positive news, by the way. The first has to do with the National Digital Skills Training, which is part of the Digital Transformation Project the President launched in May this year. I'll also give you some really interesting news about our VAS regulation, class regulation, which we signed yesterday, and which will give opportunity to a lot of young people, Liberian entrepreneurs, to have a stake in the telecom industry, which is today roughly around $200 million, but mostly dominated by foreigners. This training for 10,000 youth is a component of Liberia Digital Transformation Program. This program is a multi-year program that has several phases. In January, while preparing His Excellency's State of the Nation address, we inserted a statement that said within 6 months, we would have trained 10,000 young people. I'm pleased to announce today that after a long haul, you know, a lot of people were saying, the project delay. We had a target. We wanted to have 10,000 people to start. We also wanted to make sure we have everything in place. You know, Liberia, right? Everything we do it haphazardly, incomplete, not properly done. But in this case, we wanted to make sure that this project was done properly. To train 10,000 people is an enormous task that we took, along with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, and the Ministry of Education. After a series of setbacks, you know, we had the registration online, and most of the time, a lot of people didn't get registered, so we never had the numbers. But eventually, somewhere in June, we had received close to 12,000 interested candidates. So on the 12th of August, we started a program. Again, even though we had 11,950 applicants, about 9,560 show up on the 12th to commence the training program. And they show up in all of the counties at 45 training centers. If I may just give you a few numbers. So in Monserrado, 4,700 people showed up. In Nima, 721. Magibi, 450. Bom, 427. Lofa, 470. Grand Bassa, 400. And we also have an online platform for those that are not in a particular county or they're anywhere and wish to participate online. That was 455. And then we have Riverses, 400. Bombing, 200. Bapuru 262, Grand Cape Mount 150, Maryland 230, Grand Crew 155, River G 148, Grand Gillette 137. Persons with disability, we have 500 of those that actually applied, but we are currently, the ones that are participating are around 80. Salo 103. Okay, so the 80 disability for Monserrato, and then we have 80 disability people, 30 in Nimba, and 21 in Margibi, Bon County 15, and Maryland 7. Those are people with disability. As you can imagine, there was an enormous task that we had to coordinate these activities throughout the country. I would like to thank all of the training institutions that have been involved. They actually started the project even before payment was made. That was their commitment to ensuring that this project will kick off on time. I was coming while on my way here. 1 week has passed already. A number of the trainees in Grand Bassa already done some work based on what they learned last week. Remember, this is not a degree program, so it's a 2 weeks running program, very intensive. And we said most of our young people already have an idea, but the idea has to be transformed into something meaningful. Most of you see these phones in your hands. A lot of people use it primarily for Facebook, but mainly for beefing each other instead of using these instruments as platforms for doing business. And this is why we focus on e-commerce, e-marketing, and so forth, so people can actually use their own smartphone to generate income for themselves. So this whole thing is not just to give people free training, it's actually to empower people so they have more, they can contribute more meaningfully to our society. Of course, we have some challenges, a few challenges. Like I said, in June when we had a complete list, we had to mobilize the resources which were already earmarked for us, the bureaucracy of procurement, that caused some delays during that period. So this is why we didn't start in July. But I'm thankful we started now, and the project is well on the way. You may notice online, most of these students are wearing the t-shirts, and they are providing all sort of online content already, which we are very, very proud of. We'll tell the project team to make those available also on our webpage and online. I would like to thank my colleagues again, Minister Jasso, Minister Kroma, and Minister Kobanalu for the support, and especially to my colleagues on the Board of Commissioners, that's Ben Fofana, Patriona, Mazakwe, and Cassell Bush, for the support that we've had as a project team. I was very nervous myself to really pull this off. You're talking about 10,000 people throughout the country. Most of the areas we are not, but we have coordinators in the field, sending in images, making sure those people in those places have the necessary facility to commence and to run the project. That's the good news I have to share with you. So yesterday somebody sent me an interesting post, Minister, like you said. So throughout the country, we talk about 9,000 something, and we talk about 45 training centers that we visited. They all have computers, they all have whiteboard, they all have projectors. Somebody took a picture of a teacher illustrating something on a blackboard. And they took that picture and put it on Facebook yesterday, and I was just laughing because we validated all of the training center. It is sad that people will see good things and actually try to twist and turn it to make it look bad. It's so sad for our society. For once, this is a major project. Let's assume even there was some mistakes. You're talking about training 10,000 people throughout the country. You created job opportunity for those institutions in the counties. That suddenly these people will have some income in this period. Now there will be training people that in those counties that will be able to do something meaningful online. When I go to Rwanda or already in Accra, Ghana, we see young people using technology to run their country. Everything now you do on your phone, from e-commerce, people are buying and even our people here, right in this country, we are all going to, there's a site called Shine, I usually reference the Shine or something like that. Most of our young people buy goods from there and get it shipped to Liberia and they sell. So why don't we do it the reverse? Why don't we have our agricultural products that we make here locally, or even the arts and crafts that you can post and people elsewhere in the world can actually see and purchase? That's a way of generating income from outside as well. The opportunity for Liberians to actually contribute meaningfully, but with this digital transformation project is doing just that. We want to ensure that Liberians are prepared in the digital age. The second thing I said I had was yesterday, which I don't have notes on right now, but I'll do up here. Yesterday, the Board of Commissioners of the LTA announced a milestone regulation. This is big. We call it the Value Added Service Regulation. His Excellency and us have been discussing. He said he wants also Liberian millionaires. How can we operate a regular sector that is generating $150 million more, actually 168 going to $200 million annually, and don't have Liberians benefiting? The value added service regulation, pretty much, we're creating a layer between the wholesale and the retail so that Liberians, smart Liberians, young people, I hope, but entrepreneur people with money that can support young people with ideas, to create another layer. Just to give you an illustration, mobile money is a value added service. Mobile money is a value added service. The mobile money companies together, they transacted more than $3 billion US dollars last year. $3 billion US dollars. This is a market that we haven't gone fully digital yet. So we're trying to create an opportunity for Liberians to get involved in that value added space. Meaning, you know the short codes, right? Right now, it is Lone Star or Orange you have to go to, and you have to go to two of them to pay for the same short code if you wanted both of their customers to take part in your program. We're getting away with that. You come to the LTA, LTA will issue you at a very affordable rate. Some of the short codes were being sold at exorbitant prices, and then the access to what they call the USSD, the three the things you can do. We have liberalized that yesterday based on the regulation that we put out. We'll be encouraging Liberians to come to the LTA, get more information about value-added services, and try to get engaged in that market, because we're saying to the big operators that are the wholesaler, leave that to the smaller players, leave that to other businesses to do. They will stay come to you because they cannot do without you. Right? It's just that the woman that selling her burger, right? I mean, a cup of bread in the market. She still got to go to that man that selling the whole bags, right? And then that guy selling the whole bag has to go to the man that importing. Just imagine if the importer will come, every day it goes down to the market and start selling right back up. So who else gonna benefit in the whole supply chain? So this is what we're doing. We wanna make sure that Liberians can take part easily in those sectors. And we make sure that it can be affordable, we reduce the entry barrier to that. So, ladies and gentlemen of the press, that was the message I had, and I'm open to answering questions. Thank you.
So I'm told that the first one you talked about, some of the journalists here are beneficiary of the.
Oh, okay, the digital transfer.
Yeah, of the program. That's why the director tells me. Which is good. So at least they know what you're talking about. I didn't like it. But I just wanted to add before you ask a question that many of you may not have known, but a number of you led by folks from ELGC, Trocon and others. I want to thank you for the fact that you were able to cover the courtesy visit of the new U.S. ambassador to the Ministry of Information. As a ministry, we feel good about that. But this is a new ambassador who has now reached out to many places. I'm sure the cabinet official that he's visited with, traditionally linked with the sector, is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And the fact that he saw the need to come to us, not to discuss solely MICAT, but everything about government and our relationship with the United States, of course, matters concerning those of you who are journalists. It will interest you to know that the Americans are very concerned about your well-being. They want to see the expansion of the media space where you can all operate freely and professionally. They were sharing some thoughts with us on training, because the truth is, while the student media is doing well, it's clear that you also need a lot of training. So we talk about all of that, talk about critical issues concerning the country, whether it's wartime accountability, whether it's about our fight against corruption, just everything that concerns the country. We discussed yesterday with the ambassador. And of course, you guys were able to interview him to hear from his own lips on what the meeting was about. Like I said, we feel good about that. It shows, in my mind, a vote of confidence, not just in us as a ministry, but in the Black and Layer administration as a whole. And we thank those of you who were able to properly cover that meeting. Our desire to change the infrastructure of this ministry is on for those who are concerned to say how far it is. Liberia, we still have some issues. I know we want to promote Liberian businesses, which is a concern of all of us. Even as struggling as we are, we've got some resources on our own. We call on our Liberian business group. I guess they've been on this building for weeks. And then strangely, the other day we had to go outside because the whole place was leaking. But when you call one of the leak company, they can't do it, everybody will criticize you. So, in as much as we want to promote Liberian businesses, they got to strive for excellence. Money they hard, they can't take money to give you, you can't face sport play, you face a state, play leaking. You're not even packing brand new things. So we try to correct that wrong. We stopped the group that was doing the work. We've invited some people to come and do additional assessment. Nothing will kill our spirit. Even with these kinds of unnecessary pushback, we still do what we want to do. So I just thought to say that, and then I know you got your questions. Chairman is here. I'm also here, we'll answer your questions. You see that? Go ahead.
questions, please, from the queue. Please introduce yourself and the institution you report for.
Thank you so much. So my name is George Momo, and I report for KCTV Nigeria. And it's good that we have a call today with both the Information Ministry and that of the LTA, because at the Information Ministry, you have a department responsible for online. Unlike other countries, here we have our government now training young people. After a few weeks, they're going to be good and satisfied content producer. In other countries, platforms like this are benefiting from the work they do. Here in Liberia, it is not, simply because our country is not among those nations that are being monitored by Facebook. So my question is, what is our government doing right now? The fact that we're training young people into this area, what is the government doing to have Liberia being among nations that are monitored by Facebook?
Thank you so much, Mr. Minister and the Chairman. My name is Strobel Flammer, and I report for Spoon Network. Thank you for coming and giving us updates on the program. One thing that many people who were interested in the program that missed out on the program, they are concerned whether there's a need, maybe from the side of the LTA, to have some little package for them in terms of maybe extending, maybe not to that number. Maybe you can see 200 or 300 per quarter, maybe for your corporate social responsibility, whether you're taking in that direction. You can please tell us. And what are the 2 weeks? There's a lot of young people also complaining about the 2 weeks, how effective and efficient it was. What are some of the courses covered just within 2 weeks to train about 10,000 young people? And Minister, to you, the Front Page Africa has been reporting a story. I guess you read the story, or if you didn't, it's all about the report coming from the NSA that checks in their possession that money was withdrawn from the Central Bank of Liberia, particularly the account of the NSA. And the president, as we all know, that the president decommissioned the audit, the financial audit of the NSA. Since with this grave report coming out in the public, you think there's a need that the president reconsider his decision?
Any other person? Thank you.
Okay, monetization. That's a really, really good question. So in the internet space, at the end of the day, most of the big companies think about revenue. So how much money to make, or they will say the bottom line. But the other thing they look at also is called risk. So everywhere they invest, or every country, Facebook and other big tech companies include in their monetization, they look at one thing: one, how much money are we going to be making from that region or from that country? Number two, what is the risk of us opening up monetization because of fraud and control thereof. So there are a lot of efforts the government or the country has to make to give assurance to the big techs, they call them, to encourage them to come to the country. As big as Nigeria is and as much content that they created or they have been creating, it is only recently, I think 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of weeks ago, that they were authorized. And this is a country that is creating so much content that even the US customers, like you remember I was just referring to people buying from us from abroad. US customers are also requesting that Nigeria becomes monetized because they were using content from Nigerian content creators and those creators were not being fairly or they were not benefiting. So it's a two-way street. Now our response to that is, as soon as we came on, one of the departments we're trying to strengthen or create and strengthen will be, we call it internet governance. And we are doing that, some part of that, by the way, will be doing with the ministry, because the governance has to do with security first, the kind of content that you air, so that applies to you, and also the monetization aspect. So how do content creator benefit fairly? You usually see most people when they post these online things, they say, I'm not, and I have no copyright, right? It is to give disclaimer that you may be using people's content with or without their approval. And in that case, you have to give a disclaimer. It is not there for nothing because creating content costs money. You took your time, got in Keke, set up your instruments. You also pay for an instrument, you're paying for data. It costs money. So at the end of the day, at a certain point in time, if your content becomes interesting, people want it, and the big tech would like to advertise around or in your content. They get money out of that, and then they have to transfer some of that money to you. So these are our internet governance department, which will actually launch next year. And we'll be working with the ministry to ensure that, what sort of content is appropriate for our side of the world. It's not censorship, but we have culture. I think those who were at LBS last time, His Excellency said Liberia is a country of culture, and there are certain things that should not be condoned or encouraged. Similarly, in all nations, there are limits to how far people can go with so-called freedom of speech and expression. There are boundaries where you can cross towards other people's rights. But I think the right people are the appropriate people are here. It's easier to speak to them. The next thing is what do we have after the training? So this, like I said, digital transformation is a big project. We're looking at not just to train people, but also to make sure that we have that we are prepared for the digital economy, for the digital society, and the digital age. This is why we reserved $250,000 that will be utilized for a seed money or startup package for most of the participants. Now, everybody is not going to get it, but people with brilliant ideas, people with good ideas will compete, and we encourage them to work in groups so that more people can benefit from these packages. So we'll encourage the participant immediately after the training. The project for award or seed money will start, which means you have to apply for it, you have to present your ideas, will be vetted, the best ideas will be elevated, and you will come to defend your idea to a committee, and then from there, those that will win awards will win. We are not going to give big money to few people. Like I said, starting tech business is not expensive. You only need a device and smart ideas. So we'll be giving up to $3,000 maximum per team and or per person, based on the ideas that will be presented and to ensure that we can help you to start up your project. So thank you very much. And so the guy was saying we're not going to be doing it at the LTA, so it'll be a package that will be set aside. One thing I want you all to know, our ambition is to ensure that 500,000 young people get trained during the term of this administration, which means already His Excellency has asked us and the Minister of Education to include in the curriculum of high school digital skills training. In other words, by the time you graduate from high school, you already have the same kind of skills that we are offering today. So we're not going to wait until people get out of high school to get it. So every time you hear 40,000 people graduated, just make sure that one of the requirements will be that you have had the opportunity to get trained in skills. I believe the ministry will be putting that in a regular curriculum by next year. So thank you very much.
Chairman, it's good that you made reference to Front Page Africa. And I hope people will not also say Front Page Africa is witch hunting. Because this is our problem. We've got issues that all of you know about, including those of you in the media. And when the appropriate authorities start to act to address these issues, they come with all the noise about which hunt, this hunt, and that hunt. I'm not sure that the President's initial instruction to have the NSA audited was reversed to mean that it should not be audited. I think the category of the audit was the issue because I believe there were certain restrictions on what could be audited and what cannot be audited. Because don't forget, NSA is a security entity. So I'm sure they just placed it in another category of what kind of audit needed to be done, but not to say they are immune to audit. This is a place that record is showing that in the last 6 years, millions passed through. We will not do well if we say an entity that millions pass through cannot be audited. Then what is the point? I mean, anybody who wants to do something and you don't want there to be accountability, just pass it through the entity that is immune from audit, which I'm not sure is the case. We can check to verify exactly what took place, but I think from my reading, it was not to suggest that it will not be audited. But the category of audit that was announced was inconsistent with the security nature of the institution, therefore it was just recategorized into another place where certain security information are protected. I think that's why it is. But we can check further on the consensus article. But the lesson for me from it is, you in the media are concerned too. And if all of us are concerned, and the government is not coming from the blue sky and just jumping behind people, it's out of an audit report from the LACC. I will always remind us about this. All the commissioners at the LACC were not appointed by President Obama. All of them. All they come from the GSC, where the Auditor General was not appointed by President Obama. So I guess the thing is, these are professional people doing a piece of professional job, and when the fruit of their job is available, prosecutors of government got the right to review what they found, and if the revision leads to a conclusion that someone committed a crime that they should be held liable for, then that's where the charges come. And rather than us embracing and encouraging the people who maybe are alleged to have done something to avail themselves in court, allow the legal process to play on and determine whether there's culpability or not, to come hearing all around the which one. So the good news is, for as long as these investigative bodies bring report and our prosecutors determine that there are people who bear responsibility for some act of criminality or whatever, the necessary legal processes will be initiated. No amount of categorizing things as witch hunt, this hunt, and that hunt to stop the government from doing what it's supposed to do. I guess this is a fight for all of us. And the media too got a role to play. Don't elevate the false alarm. Because you know exactly which one, when they say which one, you give it the both banner headline means you aiding them to honor court the fight against impunity. Use your own, whatever it is, to not aid people who want to intentionally honor man while you all pray for it. That's the essence of the story, to call government attention to it. If the government starts to act, and then somebody hearing which one in the same from Africa goes and get them deep on headland, what is it? So see this thing as your own fight too. Because pass around on river, don't go out of the country, just go around on river. One of the things that the WIA administration was credited for here was that they were building a lot of community roads, and what people said. Go use those roads. How many of them non-existent? I was trying to pass through SKD Boulevard the other night. Is that you got a time? I live Broadway. So I use that route from the cross to come to the ministry every day. Every time I get home, I got to take back with very hot water and rub my body with something that carries down the wounds that I feel in my body every day around that way. But people are yet joking. Somebody sit down on one caterpillar to say they want to break ground or something, then they say, oh, they need barrow medicine. You go plant one leper in one community, say, oh, that's their medicine. You're making somebody medicine for everything and the soul in it, they say they can get better. So that's what we have inherited. We should not make developmental initiatives be political projects. Because political projects are never durable. You're running quota through somewhere because you want people to see you as building roads. But you know that road can only last for 3 months. Look at what we see all around the country. We inherited our Rawafi Highway. It was a big campaign too. I'm not sure 10% of that work was done. Ask yourself the question. Was the contractor changed? No. Why are they performing now and they didn't perform then? Leadership. How many of you been on that road lately? Massive progress. They didn't change the contractor, the same people. There's a difference. And that difference is in the leadership that's in charge. So there's a resolve here to do serious things here. And if you're here the last 6 years and you level all these things that we inherited, they can't even afford to give up change, yelling all over the place. Slow down, man. Thank you.
Dear colleagues, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Kia. Thank you, Commissioner. I'm going to close here for today and we'll return on Thursday. Thank you very much.
So thanks so much for watching. My name is College Massacre, but today I have coverage of the all important principal and the medical admission and the charge of your conference hall.